I mean, first of all, your assessment of what you're seeing on the screen right now. Weakish kind of signals or not much?
Good afternoon. So I think very clearly, we've been going through this pullback since the last Monday. And I think 10,250 has time and again held down. I think we had a low of about 10,260 on the Thursday, then 10,255 on Friday, and today I think 10,258. So this 10,250 zone thereabout is a good support zone. As long as that is not being broken, I wouldn't be really worried, I think, and after some choppiness, I do expect a reversal on the upside. But in case you start breaking below 10,240, 250, then I think, maybe you would want to cut down on your long exposure or even, start looking at taking some short positions on the stock specific basis.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Let's identify some specific stocks trades, Mitesh.
Yeah. So I have 3 calls right now. Buy on HUL. I think after giving a breakout about 1290, it's giving a good pullback today. So buy with a stop at 1279. Look for 1320 kind of target. Jubilant Foods has had a gap breakout, makes a fresh high. That's a buy with a stop at 1679 for targets of 1745. And Manappuram is a sell call. That's still continuing with the declines after the numbers. It's a sell with a stop at 99.25, and I would look at a target of 93.
Okay. I mean, look at Shriram Transport and Havells, if you will, Mitesh, both these stocks. Shriram Transport low was about 1258. It's up 30 rupees from there. It was 1300 plus recently. So it's still lower from that level. And Havells, 512. It's up about 9 rupees now.
See, I think between the two, Shriram Transport, I think it still is a good trading opportunity. I think it's been sideways between 1320 to about 1250 for the last 8-9 sessions, and now is again showing signs of an upward break on the intraday chart. So I think keeping a stop just below 1260, I would buy this one, look for 1350 kind of a target. And Havells, I think, had a big correction after the results. It's given a bounce back. I think it will just turn sideways, not much of action happening over here. So 520, 495 could be a broad range for the next few days.
RBL Bank, Mitesh, just look at this one. It looked like it was breaking out, got to 540 after a long time. It's basically back at about 510, 515.
Yeah, I think the 540 day happened, Prashant, on when the big recapitalization was announced and the private sector banks kind of sold off from those levels. So 540 remains a formidable challenge for the stock to get past. It's doing a range of about 500 to 540, and I think it's just a range trade. So try to buy it around 500, 510 with a stop below 495. Try to sell around 540, 545. Once you get a closing above this 545 zones, then I think you would look at a secular kind of an up move.
All right, Mitesh, thanks very much for your afternoon trades. A quick break. When we come back, we'll get chatting with some managements post their earnings. RCF, Suresh Warrior, the Director of Finance, will be joining us. Stay tuned. Those are Adani Ports numbers coming through. 992 crores is actually, it's quite a bit better than what we were expecting. So our poll had thrown up a number only closer to about 880 odd crores. But, on the street, there was a very wide estimate of what the profit number could look like. And it ranged anywhere from 508 crores all the way to about 1100 crores. 2706. On the top line as well, looks good. So I'm guessing this is a good performance this time around. Anisha is going to be joining us as well. Anisha, the first number is looking good to you?
Well, yes, the first set of numbers that I'm looking on the screen really look good because 2,700 crores on the top line is more than what we were expecting. But do remember, for Adani Ports, we need to understand what part of is this the SEZ income, because that is a sort of one-off, or the lumpiness of the business of the SEZ income that at times really bumps up the revenue. So that is something we'll hear in the press conference, I think.
All right, in fact, let's do one thing. Let's hear out the management first and we'll analyze these numbers later.
Handled a cargo volume of 87 million metric ton. On a year-on-year basis, the other bulk cargo grew by 12%. In terms of container volumes, we have once again outperformed All India port growth. While All India container volumes grew by 12%, APSZ container volumes grew by 19%. Our market share in container has increased by 33% compared to 31% in the first half of financial year 2017. Today, 61% of our cargo volumes are through long-term contracts compared to 60% at the end of Q1 FY18. We are confident that we will be able to continue this outperformance in the coming years as well. In the logistics space, we continue to be the single largest private rail operator in the country. In the first half of financial year 2018, we achieved total rail volumes of 1,17,000 TEUs, a growth of 50%. Now on to the financial numbers. In the first half of current financial year, operating income on year-on-year basis increased by 36% to rupees 5,451 crores. For the same period, EBITDA increased by 25% to rupees 3,383 crores. EBITDA margins increased by 200 basis points to 69%. While profit before tax for the first half of the financial year 2018 increased by 21% to rupees 2,470 crores, profit after tax for the same period was rupees 1,751 crores, thus translating into an EPS of rupees 8.46 per share. In the first half of financial year 2018, we have generated a free cash flow of rupees 690 crores and reduced our net debt by rupees 737 crores. Net debt as of 30th September 2017 stands at rupees 17,864 crores. Our net debt to EBITDA is at 2.64 times compared to 3.27 times in March 2017. In H2 FY18, we are likely to grow 1.5 times of India Cargo's growth. In containers also, we will grow by 1.5 times of Pan-India container growth. We will increase our EBITDA margins to 70% in FY18. As guided earlier, CapEx for FY18 will be in the range of rupees 2,500 to rupees 2,800 crores. Net debt to EBITDA would continue to be below 3x, and strengthening of our balance sheet will be our focus area. Thank you.
All right, so that's the management of Adani Ports there. The incremental detail that we have is regarding their capex plan. But Anisha, first on the numbers.
Well, yes, I'll start with the traffic growth data that they really give. 87 million ton is what they did in terms of cargo. That is a really strong number coming in Q1. That number was around 50 million tons. Remember, for the entire year, last year they did around 170 million tons. And they had guided that they will be doing 12 to 14% higher. It seems that the company now will be able to achieve the target. There was some, disruptions due to GST, etc. in the quarter one that we saw. But quarter two, they have been able to recover, and that is what's seeing in the numbers as well. In terms of the container cargo volumes, in the first quarter, they grew by 21%. It has come off a bit. It is 19% right now, but it is still a very solid growth because the management also alluded to the fact that they have gained market share yet again by 33% when it comes to the container volumes, and that is where they get their highest margins from, and that is why it is a very important business for them. The other details that they mentioned about the logistics business, etc., is what we have been hearing and seeing as well, that business is picking up. And if you even look at the headline numbers, all numbers look better than expectations. Again, I will caveat it a bit and say that we'll have to wait and see what is the SEC income out of it. But overall, if you look at the top line, that is ahead of estimates. We have a EBITDA number of around 1,785. A margin number of 69% should really go down well with the street if this is a pure operating income is what we are looking at. And a profit figure 992. Yes, it's year on year down, but we have been discussing it. That's the tax impact coming in through. So as of now, I don't see a very big negative in the numbers. In fact, even on balance sheet front, they have recorded some improvement. The net debt has come down by around 750 odd crores. So that is again a positive overall. As of now, I don't see any major big negative either. The stock is really not, recovering a bit, 1.7% lower. Yes, it has been, a bit on a high, 60-70% for YTD is what the stock has done. But I'm not very sure why the stock is reacting negatively right now, Samira, because I don't see anything wrong in the numbers.
Okay, I think, Anisha, thanks very much. So that's an important set of numbers, Adani Ports. We also had numbers from, I think, Max Finance, which was coming through. and we'll have those numbers back on.
Yeah, actually, it's
in
not
just a
looking
bit.
good because on the top line, it's they've shaved off quite a bit. It's come in at 5.5 crores, which compares with 13 crores on a Y-on-Y basis. And in terms of their bottom line, they've widened the loss. So the net loss this time around is 19 crores, which compares with a loss of 13 crores. So I'm just going to try and sift through and get some more details. Okay, these are standalone numbers for Max Financial. So we'll just try and get some more details. Prashant, anything that you want to add?
Not right now, because I mean, actually, that is what I was wondering as well. I mean, if you looked at the last quarter numbers, I mean, so these are standalone numbers. You got to look at the full number. I mean, they had a decent quarterly run rate. So I think let's just wait for the full numbers, the total consolidated numbers. Because, I mean, otherwise, it wouldn't really make sense. We'll take a very quick break here. We'll come back. We have the managements of Suprajit Engineering, which reported numbers, joining us. And we also will be joined by the management at RCF. Back in 2.
All right, welcome back. You're with Midcap Radar, still down about 0.5%. Adani Ports has just come out with numbers. The stock is down about 2%. And Anisha has a quick clarification. Anisha, anything in the internals that you've picked up?
Well, yes. I was talking about the margins that they're looking healthy on a standalone basis. But if you compare YOY, there is a blip there. That is because they have revised their base numbers as well a bit.
Right.
And even if you look at the other expenses, that have nearly doubled, and that is what is causing the pressure on margins.
Okay, Anisha, thanks very much for that. Let's focus on some more earnings reaction. Suprajit Engineering came out with numbers. On the bottom line, it looks good. It's about a 30% jump over there. Although top line is just a tad bit subdued and there is a little bit of margin expansion. Ajit Rai, the CMD of Suprajit Engineering, joins in. Mr. Rai, good afternoon, sir. Thanks very much for joining in. I want to first ask you about the other expenses because there's quite a substantial jump over there. Could you explain that to us and whether it's peculiar to this quarter?
Yeah, good afternoon and thank you for having me on your channel. Regarding the other expenses, I think it's, right now you must realize that Westcon, which is our international non-automotive arm out of US, has a full 6-month number reflecting on this half year. Whereas it was not there for the last year. It was only there for an extent of some 10 or 12 days. Okay. So the expenses in the U.S. subsidiary, typically U.S. manufacturing companies have higher expenses. So that's probably the reason why it looks optically high. But as far as the Indian operations are concerned, our expenses are pretty much in line with the
therefore,
past.
this will not be replicated to the other quarters. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean it will be a similar level. It will not be any different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so could you just talk about what, I mean, the big highlight, not the numbers, but qualitatively, how is business doing for Suprajit?
Yeah, I think, just to give you our 3 of our main businesses, our core cable business has done pretty well in this half with both Suprajit Engineering, Suprajit Automotive and Suprajit Europe, which is our cable arms, have done exceptionally well. Aftermarket in the two-wheeler, in the cable business had a setback due to GST. On the Phoenix Lamps division, the exports to subsidiaries, that means our European subsidiaries, has been a bit of a challenge. Whereas Indian OEM growth as well as Indian aftermarket growth, despite GST, has been very robust. So that's what
there was one on Phoenix. There was one manufacturing line which was not operational, right? There was a problem.
Yes,
there was an
I
issue.
think there was a new line called H7, which is used in the automotive segment, which went into production in March. It has started now taking up some capacity. So it is getting into production. We are getting some new orders on that, but it will take some more time to fully utilize that line. But the approval processes are in. Whereas in Westcon, I think the business is seasonal. H1 is seasonally weak, and H2 is typically the robust half. So we expect much better performance in the second half, not only in Westcon, in probably most of our business, now that the GST is behind us.
That's what. So that is completely out now. The impact on the local cable business.
Yes, I think the aftermarket, we had a bad first half, and that has been completely out. In fact, from September onwards, traction is pretty good. October has been good. November is good. So we see now that the restocking and things are back to normal in the market.
And cable aftermarket and OEM is split down in the middle in terms of contribution.
In terms of, for the OEM, we probably supply both for their OEM requirement as well as their aftermarket through their channels.
Okay.
So that is, it's difficult to say because they buy in bulk and, use it both ways. So we don't really know that.
Okay. Fair enough. Mr. Rai, thanks very much. Good speaking with you. Good luck. And so essentially what you're telling us that H2 should be a lot better. We'll take a very quick break here.
Prashant, just one second. We want to pull up Sangvi Movers. They've come out with numbers. The stock is down about 8-9%. And for them, they have doubled the the provision for doubtful debts on a Y-on-Y basis. I mean, it's almost at the 6-month level that they have this time around. And I think that's what's actually hurt them. But we'll go through this in greater detail. But for now, those numbers not looking good at all. A quick break. When we come back, we'll have more earnings reactions. Stay tuned.
Okay, welcome back. You're with us here on Midcap Radar. The management of RCF is now joining in to take some questions on the back of the results which were reported. Suresh Warrier is Director of Finance of the company. Mr. Warrier, thanks very much. Appreciate you joining us. Could you, first of all, just give us some indication of what happened to volumes? Did volumes increase? What happened to prices? Fertilizer segments are first.
Yeah. The volumes were slightly better as far as RCF is concerned. It was about 3% higher. Prices were more or less stagnant. There was no change in the prices.
Slightly higher, so under 5% growth.
Yeah. It was about 3.28%, about 3.2%.
So there is some, you can confirm this, that apparently industry volumes grew much better. Close to 7-8%. What happened with RCF?
Yeah, basically what happened during the quarter, we had some restrictions in the movement of material through rail. There were some 4 derailments in the western sector because of the very heavy monsoon. Plus, the availability of rakes, particularly in the western zone, has been very limited for us. And this we have taken up at the highest level with the railways to improve the availability. If the availability is better, then probably we will be able to dispatch more and sell more. That is one reason where we lost, basically.
So you mean that demand is there, but you're not able to
Yeah. Demand is there. Demand is definitely there, but we were not able to move the material.
So now for FY18, what's the outlook both for chemical and for fertilizers?
Yeah, the outlook for the chemical sector has definitely improved in the third quarter. The prices of most of the chemicals have gone up. In fact, we are thinking of restarting the methanol plant, which has been closed for more than a year because the prices have gone up. Secondly, the ammonia prices have also moved up. So definitely we'll see a lot of improvement as far as the chemical sector is concerned.
This volume that was lost because of inability to transport.
Yeah.
I mean, so so the clients, they'll pay up, you book that revenue in the year, in the financial year?
No, can you repeat the question? I didn't get you.
No, I'm saying the material that you couldn't move because of derailments, etc.
Yeah.
How will that be treated? I mean, because you would have sold that.
If the material doesn't move, it remains in the stock, no?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can make that. You can make up that.
It's difficult. It's very difficult because what has happened is there are 2 segments which we are operating in the fertilizer. One is the urea and one is the NPK. So the NPK segment, what we had a problem that we could not store excess material. So we reduced our production load. Whereas urea we sent to silo. So probably urea's side we can make up.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Warrier, thanks very much. Appreciate you joining us with that quick take on the numbers. We are completely out of time. Gillette numbers are flashing at the bottom of your screen. Profits are up 17%. That looks like a healthy set of numbers. We are out of here. Thanks for watching Midcap Radar. Your stocks will take Gillette and other results forward.